I just finished my second playthrough of Falcon Age, which for me was something of a necessity. I'd been so hyped for Falcon Age over this past year, frequently referring to it as one of my most anticipated PSVR games of 2019, that when I first played it and was bored, irritated and underwhelmed, I almost didn't trust myself to review the Wayward Sky and Dino Frontier developers' newest game right away. I needed some distance, so I put Falcon Age on the back burner, and decided to come back to it in a few weeks when I felt the time was right. And when the very first patch came along at the end of April, seemingly addressing a slew of my original complaints, I knew it was time to dive back in and see if my feelings had changed. And long story short, they really have. With one little patch, Falcon Age simply became a joy to play. But let's back up, because even before the update, it was hard not to fall in love with Falcon Age during the first few minutes. You're locked up in a cell, stranded and alone, then suddenly you're introduced to your new little bird companion. She stares at you lovingly with those big blue eyes that'll melt even the coldest of hearts, and even I was surprised by how quickly I bonded with her, and immediately cared for her well-being. And over the next 3.5 hours, that bond is strengthened as you explore the desert planet together, team up and engage in combat, farm, shop, craft, and accessorize as you discover all the inhabitants of Falcon Age's small open world. Finding recipes around the environments means that with a little farming and hunting, you can create buffs for your pet, which will help you take down some of the harder enemies later in game. Working together with Little Tornado, which is what I named my Falcon, despite being forced to choose a name from a predetermined list, was a mechanic that I hadn't seen very much of in other games. You can direct her to grab items that are way beyond your reach, smash into surveillance devices, and assist in battle, which often results in heartbreaking moments when you have to pull needles from vicious turret guns out of her one by one. Patch 1.02 addressed all of my issues with controls, objectives, full locomotion, and even added more things to do and discover when traveling from one section of the map to another, to the point where once I started my second playthrough, I didn't stop until I saw the credits roll again. But as good as Falcon Age is, there are a few things that I'm fairly certain patches and updates can't fix. The story, one about colonization, sets the stage for some potentially interesting plot twists about trust and deception, but only gets really good just moments before the game ends, making this entire game feel like a prequel, setting up for a much larger narrative, which with any luck we'll actually get someday. And the other major downfall has to do with the farming and crafting mechanics. These two systems both work great and are in place to let you grow food, then combine ingredients in order to create buffs for your Falcon that'll temporarily aid you in battle. But none of it's necessary, not by a mile, and considering each creation only improves the bird's stats for a short time, it seemed like a long way to go for something I never needed. That said, crafting for permanent upgrades is probably something I would have gotten behind from the get-go, and given me an excuse to spend way more time in the world, to make my Falcon as powerful as possible. Despite there being an option to play without the Move controllers or in non-VR, Falcon Age mostly succeeds due to the immersive nature of the gameplay and your interactions with the Falcon itself. It really feels like your bird is there with you, whether that be sitting on your hand or flying overhead waiting for instructions. So if you're able to, do yourself a favor and play this one the way it was meant to be played, and get ready for a fun, albeit short little adventure, starring one of my favorite, most adorable companions of recent memory.